So we are so excited to have you here. And I'm going to kick off with my 5 steps to designing an intentional future vision. So this is something that I feel passionate about, and I do a lot of this in my coaching. And in fact, last week I was running my free 5-day From Chaos to Clarity challenge. So a lot of this stuff is particularly relevant at this time when we are either, still in lockdown or just coming out of lockdown, and we are trying to navigate where to from here. Because for a lot of us, the world has just been so topsy-turvy that we just don't, we've been reassessing. I mean, I don't know about you. I've been doing a lot of reassessing. And I know that a lot of the girls in my challenge were doing a lot of reassessing this week. So, some of us have been using this time to do a lot of upskilling or to really start to try and put into place the next steps to get our businesses to the next level. But what if you're feeling massively overwhelmed? Like, what if you are just sitting there going, I just don't even know what to do now. Like, I don't know what to do with my business. I don't know what to do with my life. I just feel so chaotic. I feel so overwhelmed. And so that's, what I'm going to talk about with you guys today is relevant to both categories, but particularly for those of you who are feeling a bit overwhelmed. Really getting back to what your vision is. What is it that you want to achieve? What is it that lights you up? What do you feel passionate about? This is a great time to really get back in touch with those things so that you can design that intentional vision for the future and really, lead from the heart, lead from that place of mission and purpose, and go out and be the change that you want to see in the world. So I've got 5 steps for you. And the first step that I want to give you guys is to actually think about what you want to do and what do you believe. Like, what are your core beliefs and values? What is important to you? What do you value in yourself and in others? What do you stand for? What do you stand against? What change do you want to see in the world? And what part do you see yourself playing in it? Because when we know what these beliefs are, when we know who we are at that core level, we can actually start to examine. Now, there's also been a lot of talk lately about uncovering our beliefs and looking at it from like a completely different lens, particularly in relation to systemic racism and Black Lives Matter and the way that we view our white privilege, if in fact we are white, or how we're viewed if we're people of color. And so when we are looking at those beliefs, when you think about what you believe and what's important to you and what you value, I want you to also ask yourself the question, are these beliefs that we hold things that we've inherited, things that have come to us from our parents, through society, from our experiences? Or are they beliefs that we have chosen to believe? Okay, because there are 2 different types of beliefs. We can choose to create new beliefs, and we can also choose that beliefs that have come to us and have been inherited by us, we can choose to change them and turn them around if they're things that no longer serve us. So if you find that some of the beliefs that you have aren't actually congruent with who you are and what you believe right now, it might be time to do a little bit of work around letting that go and letting go the things that are holding you back from fully stepping into who you are. So I am a bit of a Disney fan. I'm not one of those people that subscribes to the whole Disney is evil, it gives women unrealistic expectations about relationships, because my philosophy is that we need to stop playing the victim card And we need to take our power and our responsibility to accept responsibility for our decisions and our actions. And when we say things like, oh, it's Disney movies' fault for giving me unrealistic expectations, that's you passing the buck and saying, well, I choose to play the victim and believe that my lack of success in relationships is because of fictional cartoon movies. I mean, really, think about that for a minute. Is that actually a core belief that would serve you long term? Or is saying, okay, I'm totally going to own it. I've made some shitty choices, but I'm choosing from here on out to take responsibility and, make different choices. But anyway, the whole Disney fan thing. Roy Disney once said, it's not hard to make decisions when you know what your values are. Okay, think about that. Imagine how amazing it would be to have the confidence knowing that every single decision that you make is 100% in line and congruent with your values and what you believe. Okay, now how can you fail when everything that you believe stems from, or every action that you take stems from what you believe? I mean, that's a pretty powerful thing. So step number 1, identify your core beliefs and your core visions, or your core beliefs and core values. Second step is to ask yourself, what is it? Where do you see yourself in the future? What is your vision for the future? What is it that you want to achieve in life? Where do you see yourself in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years time? What does that look like for you? What does it feel like? Are you currently on a path that is going to take you there? Or does it feel out of reach? What do you want your business, your career, your family to look like? What do you want to have achieved? What will you own? Where will you live? And who will you be? Will you be the same person that you are now? Or are you going to be like this amazing up-leveled version of who you are? Okay? So it really is important to articulate these thoughts. And I do encourage you, if you've got a pen and a piece of paper, jot down some notes or come back and rewatch this later on so that you can go back through it. Or feel free to, I'll put a link into, I do have a Designing an Intentional 2020 Vision free PDF that I can send out if you want to join my mailing list. So I'll put the details in later. But what I'm saying is take note of some of these things. Think about what you want to do, but not just in terms of the material. I would like to own a Maserati. I want a Chanel handbag. I want whatever, like in 10 years, I'm going to own all of this stuff, because having things is good and knowing what you want to own is great. But what you need to do is you need to anchor the emotion of what will that mean to you? What will it mean for you to be that person? What will it mean for you to, be that next version of yourself or to live that life? And writing it down really is, there's something magic in it. They have done studies that show that the act of writing things down creates different pathways in your brains than just typing it out. So, for example, there was this study of university students, and the ones in the classes who had their laptops or their iPads or whatnot and were just typing their notes, got them word perfect, right? Pretty much whatever the lecturer said, they just typed it out, and it was great. And in the short term, they were, completely on it. But the ones who hand wrote their notes obviously couldn't write as quickly as the lecturer was speaking. And so what they had to do was they had to kind of condense all of that information down into a form where it would trigger those memories for them later. So they had to write shorthand notes or draw diagrams or mind maps or whatever it was to actually convey this same information. And while it didn't give them the same 100% word perfect accuracy, what it did was it actually meant that in the long term, in their long-term memory, they retained that information in their brains better than the people who typed it out, where they just made zero connection with the material. It meant that when they were revising for, quizzes or tests, they were able to, look over their notes and it was comprehensive. But the ones who hand wrote it in the final exams actually understood the concepts better. So I'm a big fan of handwriting things out, and I would love for you guys to be able to just jot down some notes, because it really will help you out later on. So just brain dump all of those thoughts about what you want to achieve and where you want to be and whatnot. When I do this with my free challenge group, it's part of an exercise called the aspirational bucket list. And we write down everything that has ever come up, like no judgment, doesn't matter how weird or wonderful it is, just do it. And I've found that the clients that I work with find this activity really powerful. In fact, my current group of mastermind girls voted this one of the essential activities for those aha moments, because some of the things that come up on that list are things that maybe they'd forgotten about or just never really thought about. And then seeing it all written out, you can start to go, oh, actually that and that and that can go together and I could do something with it. Or, oh yeah, actually I could do that. And it really gives you this picture of who you are and what you want to achieve in the big picture, because it's not all about just what you want to do right this minute, like in the next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. It's about what do you want to do between now and the last breath that you draw. So think about this vision that you are creating for your life, and then think about how does it score against your current reality. So if the trajectory of your life is not taking you towards that big picture, what do you need to change? What needs to be tweaked? Sometimes it's not even just huge, dramatic, life-altering, move across the other side of the world kind of stuff. It's just little things that you can do. Maybe you've got somebody I was talking to recently, actually one of the girls in my challenge group is an electrical engineer. She's just finished her degree, but what lights her up is cooking. She's like, oh, but I need to work for a few years and get some experience or whatever, make some money before I can pursue my dream of cooking. And so I said to her, well, how could you incorporate that into your life now? Maybe she could start a food blog. Maybe she could, do it. And she was like, oh, and I said, those things that light you up, if you're not going towards that vision, you need to find a way to start bringing that vision to you. Okay. So if you are not currently 100% in alignment in terms of where you are right now with your business, with your life, with your family, with your relationships, whatever it is, there is still plenty of things that you can do to actually switch it up and turn it into this amazing vision where you are actually living your amazing dream. So, step number 3. What I want you to come up with next. So you have identified your values and beliefs, you have started to identify your vision, and now I want you to get your mind right. This is all about your mindset, because you can know where you want to go, but if you don't believe that you can get there, then you have just put a major wall in front of yourself, okay? You've put a major thing. Hey, Rachel, thank you so much for joining me. So if you have not got your mind right, then what you're doing is you're saying, okay, well, I want this, but I don't believe I can have it. And you're actually putting conflicting messages out there into the universe. And how can the universe support you if it doesn't actually know what you want, if you're not being clear? So now you might be a bit like, oh, well, does visualization really help with manifestation and whatnot? Well, did you know that there is science that actually backs this up? There was an article in Psychology Today by somebody named AJ Adams, and what they said about this was that brain studies now reveal that thoughts produce the same mental instructions as actions. Mental imagery impacts many cognitive processes in the brain, from motor control, attention, perception, planning, and memory. So the brain is getting trained for actual performance during visualization. It's been found that mental practices can enhance motivation, increase confidence and self-efficacy, improve motor performance, prime your brain for success, and increase states of flow, all relevant to achieving your best life. Now think about that for a minute. So aside from the woo, and believe me, I love the woo, scientifically they have proven that visualization prepares you for success in the same way as actually taking the actions. Now, how powerful and amazing is that, right? So get your brain on board, because scientists also tell us that our brains cannot distinguish between a past memory and any other thought that we have. So we have the power to create a future vision for ourselves that is just so compelling and so powerful that it draws us towards it and can actually break those chains holding us back to the past, holding us back to those beliefs and those negative self thoughts about, I can't do this, I always fail, nothing good ever happens to me. Like, you can break those chains by creating this vision that lights you up inside. Okay, so we need to get our brains right. You need to change those thoughts. You need to catch them when they happen. So when you have those mental blocks and barriers come up, when you have those negative self beliefs, you need to catch them. You need to, what I like to recommend is that you write them down. So if you have those thoughts, I'm not good enough, I'm not experienced enough, no one will believe me, or whatever it is, like I always fail, no one in my family has ever succeeded in business, I can't lose weight, I'm just not, like I'm big boned, my genetics are shit, whatever it is, right? Write those things down. And then I want you to turn them around and transform it into an empowering statement. So, and this is another thing I did with some of the girls in my challenge group last week, was take those thoughts and turn it into an empowering statement. So for example, one of the girls had a thought, hang on, let me just find it for you, because it was really amazing. She'd done some amazing work. And she turned, some of hers were, I forgive myself for being or feeling unqualified. And so she turned that into, I'm learning new skills. I'm not a risk taker. And she turned that into, I'm prepared to try new things, and I'm not going to avoid doing things because of fear of failure. I feel stuck, lost, and disillusioned about not coming up with answers to what my new career is. Like I feel lost. I just don't know what I'm going to do. And she changed that one into, I'm seeking and soul searching to find a career that makes my heart sing. Okay. Now, what is important about this, or what is really powerful about doing these transformations, is that you've written them down, and then when that thought comes up again for you, like, oh, like I just have no direction, I don't know what I'm going to do, you can stop yourself and say, hang on a minute, that's not true. I'm soul searching to find a career that makes my heart sing, right? And the more that you catch yourself, the more that you change that actively into that positive thing, the more your brain starts to recognize, oh, hang on a minute, no, that must be true. I am soul searching, and I'm going to find a career that makes my heart sing. And so then you become open to those opportunities that come up. They're open to exploring those things instead of shutting them down. So sometimes though, the mental thoughts and barriers, we do this work to start overcoming them, and then we hit this test from the universe. Like I like to call it universal blowback. And so we start to make changes, we start to see some improvement, we start to get really like, oh, you know, I'm like motivated and everything's going well. And suddenly, like, bam, you hit this speed bump or get this unexpected setback that makes you feel like you've been punched in the guts, and it just leaves you gasping for breath, and like you just want to curl into a ball and cry and retreat back into your comfort zone. Oh, it's too hard. Now, you can do that, but that's only going to take you back to the start of the cycle again. And the thing is, I like to think of it, it's a little bit like a test of commitment. If you were really committed to the action that you want to take, you're just going to see that speed bump as like a test of your commitment, that you're like, actually, yeah, I freaking do want this. And I am just, you know, like, I don't care what you throw at me. I'm going to deal with it and move past this block, because sometimes those blocks are actually sent for you to actually like work through so that you can let them go. So when everything within you is, you know, screaming at you to flee and run away, there are some things that you can do. You can acknowledge the moment and lean into it, you know, take a deep breath, have a little bit of a cry if you need to, but don't let it destroy your whole day. You know, find a distraction, go off and do a guided meditation, go for a walk, take a shower, you know, have a nap, you know, go play a game with the kids, or, you know, talk to a friend about something completely different. Like, just switch channels, okay? And then when you've broken the hold of that emotional trauma, or you can come back to it refreshed and better able to look at ways and strategies to handle it and get around it without actually needing to just let it completely dissolve your whole day and undo all of your progress. Don't let yourself fall into a hole. Don't use it as an excuse to play the victim or self-pity or whatnot. You do have the power to decide how you react. You get to choose to see it as, you know, the universe slapping you down and putting you back in your place, or it just giving you this little love nudge like, hey, here's a gift. I know you're trying to work out, you know, a few things. So here's a thing to work out, and then, you know, carry on. Choose to be proactive and resilient. Find a support person or somebody that motivates you and lifts you up to talk it through with when you're in the right place. You know, maybe it's a coach, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a family member or support person. No, remember that the moment's going to pass. You know, nothing lasts forever, and just keep moving forward one step at a time. So that, you know, like, sometimes when we're getting our mind right, we end up with these unexpected obstacles, but it is so important, and it is part of the whole process as we deal with those mental barriers. So just quickly, like, don't see those little slapdowns and failures as, like, failure is not an end point. Failure is just another little step along the way. It's a little milestone on the way to success, because when we fail, we're not failing and going back to the beginning. We're kind of starting from experience, because we already know that we can get to this point. We know that we can move on from here. You know, so just keep in mind that, you know, when we get to a certain level of success, we already know that we can get there, and then we can, even if we've, you know, taken a few steps backward, we can just move the goalpost that little bit further and keep pushing ourselves a bit more. So, what do we need to do next? Step 4. So, step 1, core beliefs and values. Step 2 was working out what are the visions that you have for the future. Step 3 was getting your mind right. Step 4 is actually designing that intentional vision for the future, right? So you know all of the things that you want to achieve. You've worked on your mindset, but what is it that you are actually intentionally setting out to do? So this is where you need to create that roadmap that's going to take you from here to where you want to go. And I like to think of it a little bit like your internal satellite navigation system or Google Maps, because when we want to go somewhere that we've never been before, it is very rare, in my experience, that we just get in our car and we just randomly start driving, right? Oh, like, I'd like to drive to Switzerland. I know it's somewhere over that way. I'm just going to keep driving that way until I get to Switzerland. Well, that's not necessarily an impossible way to get there, but it's not necessarily guaranteed either. Usually what we do is we would get out our sat nav or get out our Google Maps or whatever it is that you have. We would put in the address of where it is that we want to go. And then our sat nav system is going to tell you exactly how to get there. Drive 300 meters down the road, take the first left, drive 600 meters, take the second exit at the roundabout. It is going to tell you drive for 24 kilometers and whatever. It's going to tell you exactly what steps you need to take to get from where you are right now to where you want to go, right? And that's exactly what we need to do and what we want to do from here. So when you have got, so you've already got this aspirational bucket list, right, of these lists of things that you want to do along the way. And you've worked out that your beliefs and values are, who you are and what's in alignment for you. And now you've got to kind of bring it all together and say, okay, well, this is where I want to go. This is what I believe. This is all going to take me there. So you need to start by saying, okay, so if I want to get from here to there, what are the major steps that I need to do along the way, right? What are the major milestones? And then we can break it down into the smaller steps, like the daily things that are going to get us there, the daily, weekly, monthly, yearly actions that we need to take. And so I'll give you an example of this. If you said, and I realize that we're actually in summer now, but like if you said, I want to lose 5 kilos before the end of summer, so in the next 3 months, that is a great overarching goal, right? It's an immediate kind of thing, and it is smart. It is measurable and specific, it's achievable, and it's relevant, it's time framed. And I know I said that out of order, but it's like all of those things, right? But you need to know how. How are you going to lose 5 kilos before the end of summer? And that's when you need to identify the major steps along the way. So the steps from here to losing 5 kilos might be to get your diet right, or like eat more healthily, sleep better, and do more physical exercise. So those are your 3 things. And then you need to break that down into the daily things. Okay, so if you're going to eat better, how does that look for you? Are you going to do some menu planning so that you don't just go shopping hungry and just buy all the junk food? Are you going to do some meal prep on the weekend or when you have a free day so that meals can be quick and easy throughout the week? Are you going to, I don't know, like cut back on the carbs or cut back on the booze or, drink more water, whatever it is for you? If you are going to make your sleep habits better, what can you do on a daily basis? No tech an hour before bedtime, or listening to guided meditations before you go to sleep or wake up, or, think about and break it down into those actions that you can do each and every day, right? And they might not sound super sexy, like when we're talking about manifestation, right? Manifestation doesn't just magically happen without us also doing the work to line the things up so that they can start happening. And that's what you've got to do. You've got to say, okay, well, this is what I want to manifest, and these are the steps that I'm willing to put in place to facilitate and to support my journey. Okay? And when you are doing that from a place where what you want is totally soul aligned for you, and you believe it, and you don't just believe it deep in your core, but you also believe that you have the ability to achieve it, you never end up thinking, why am I doing this? What is the point of this? And you're able to, avoid some of the procrastination that comes with thinking, I don't really want to do this. This is kind of boring. Like, what's the point, or whatever? Because you know that everything that you're doing is actually taking you closer to living this amazing dream life. And you have that confidence and that clarity to take the action that you need to take, knowing that everything is right for you. So number 5, and I bet you guys are thinking by now, oh, thank God, 5. We've been on such an epic journey, is releasing your intentions out into the world. You've got to put it out there, baby. You've got to release it and trust that everybody around you, or not everybody around you, but that the universe is going to support you. Now, you don't have to shout it from the rooftops. Exactly. I'm not saying you have to like go live and say, oh, this is my amazing intention for the future, but you're totally welcome to do that, by the way. But be open with the people in your support networks or the people that need to know. You know, opportunities are out there, and sometimes support comes from unexpected places. But if you are not visible, and, you know, like the amazing Rachel is going to be talking to you guys about how to get confident getting visible on social media, like people, and Kate later this afternoon, I'm sure, is probably also going to cover the fact that nobody can buy you if they can't find you, right? You've got to be visible. Well, it's the same kind of thing. You cannot get support from the universe, from the people around you, if nobody knows what you want. But when people know what you want and what you're setting out to achieve, things happen. Like there's an emotional wind that comes up and helps to support you when everything you want is just like so focused and in line that it's radiating out from you. Okay, so it comes back to this. If you believe that you can do it, other people are going to believe in you as well. If you have the confidence, other people will be confident in you. So don't hide your light under a bushel. Be that light that shines for others, because sometimes other people also need that light shone on them if they're feeling like they're in the dark too. Okay, and especially those of you who are in the service industries, and those of you who might be coaches or who work with, you know, like VAs or things like that, you know, like people need your services, right? You are there to help other people, to make their lives easier and more amazing. And, you know, they might need that inspiration that you are offering out into the world. So, you know, shine brightly and don't dim for anybody. So it all comes back to this, guys. We're currently living in a world of uncertainty and shadow, and none of us really know when lives will return to 100% normality, okay? Or if it's even possible to return to the way we were before, because it feels like there is so much change happening right now and everything is in this massive phase of evolution, okay? So do you want to fall back into your comfortable rut? Or do you want to take this opportunity to carve out a new future for yourself, one that inspires you and lights you up from the inside? Are you one of those people who wants to just risk everything you've built up until this point and allow yourself to falter, torn by indecision and lack of clarity, who just lets time and hardship erode everything all away? Or do you want to take that leap of faith? Do you want to believe and do whatever it takes, knowing that you have the skills and creativity to adapt and respond, to pivot and change things up, to navigate this time with resilience, grit, and determination? And when it's all over, be able to look back and know that you've done everything that you could, that every single day you are doing everything that you can, right? Because you do have the power within you to create that intentional vision for your future. And you have the ability to achieve it, but you need to commit to doing the work, because the universe isn't just going to manifest that shit for you on its own. So if you're not 100% on board with what you want, you need to go back. You need to re-look at those steps. You need to work out where you're out of alignment, and then you need to think about why it's out of alignment. What's really going on for you, what is happening, and what needs to change. So just to recap, here are the 5 steps that I've shared with you today. Number 1, identify and examine your core beliefs and values so that you know where you stand and what's important to you. Number 2, define your overarching vision so that you know exactly where it is that you want to go. Number 3, get your mind right by letting go of your negative beliefs and mental blocks that don't serve you so that you can transform them and build that success mindset that you need. Number 4, create yourself a roadmap to success so that you know what your milestones are along the way and the things that you need to do to reach them. And then finally, number 5, release your intentions out into the world so that the universe and the people around you can support you on your journey. Now, we do have a new post-coronavirus world on the horizon, and we have the power to shape it. This is your moment to create the future. We are the ones who are going to go down in history as the next wave of pioneers, okay? Now, some of you are going to feel really inspired to take action right now. And listening to this is going to be enough to light a fire in your belly and set your mind spinning with possibilities. Hey, Linda, thank you for joining me. But I do know that some of you are going to struggle because you still feel overwhelmed and lost in the chaos. Now, if this sounds like you and you're struggling to find your clarity and confidence, then I do actually have the next round of my Dream to Reality Mastermind starting on the 15th of June. And this is a 12-week program. Oh, no, actually, it's not a 12-week program. It's an 8-week set of modules with 12 weeks of support. Sounds perfect, Linda. 12 weeks of ongoing support after the 8 modules. And what we will do is you will get clarity of vision, clarity of confidence, clarity of direction. You will have, you will get all of those core values and beliefs into alignment. You will identify the blocks that you have and develop a success mindset to push through them. You will learn how to manifest your dreams into reality. You will have the confidence that every decision and action that you make is soul aligned and moving you towards your vision. You will have accepted vibrancy, joy, and balance as your birthright. And you will have started to build a life that you love and that allows you to be the most amazing girl boss that you always were and were always meant to be. So it's not just another program where you have that 8 weeks and then it's like, see you later, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. The 12 weeks of additional support is there to help you as you start to implement the program so that you can actually be supported as you experience universal blowback, or if you need to tweak your plan along the way. Like if your roadmap is maybe missing a few things, or you suddenly realize that the way that you were going actually isn't really maybe there's a better route to get there, or whatever it is. It's something where you are continuously supported. And now it's not for everybody because not everyone is prepared to embark on what ultimately ends up being a 5-month journey, 8 weeks of modules, 12 weeks of support, of deep diving into their blocks and stepping into their power. And that's okay. If you're not in that place, then that's fine. The time for you might still be coming, okay? But I work with motivated, heart-centered women who are ready to take that leap of faith, who are ready and know that accountability and support is what is going to keep them focused, even when they hit those upper limit problems, even when they hit that universal blowback and want to retreat and, go back to their comfort zone. So I'm willing to invest my time and belief in you if you are willing to believe in yourself and your ability to succeed. And I know from the women that I have worked with that you don't need to know how you're going to do it right this minute. To take this leap of faith and this step, you don't need to know how. You just need to believe that you can, okay? The pain of staying where you are needs to be bigger than the fear of taking the action and making the changes. So if you'd like to find out more about my mastermind, I will pop the details in the comments for you. And I'm going to wrap it up there. If you have missed the details, it will be available on replay, and I would love you to let me know what you enjoyed most and what you're going to implement from here. So lots of love, gorgeous girls, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the Speaker Summit. Bye.